Hello, you're watching Brilliant TV. My name is Cooke, and this is the first of 4 short videos on the global problem of landmines that are killing and maiming thousands of people every year around the world. With me today in the studio is my personal friend John Mullen, who with his colleague Douglas Bowman recently wrote a book about one such amputee in Mozambique who recently received a new limb, and also about a new charity, Help One Walk, that was formed to tackle this global crisis. So John, I want to say how much I thoroughly enjoyed your book, Florencia, An Accidental Story. Both your story and what you're doing is sure to fascinate and inspire lots of our viewers. But I want to bring about how your organization, what it's all about, and how others can join in this particular mission that you're on. You and your colleague Douglas formed HOW specifically around the issues of landmines. So can you share what this is all about?
Sure. In 2002, Douglas and I went down to Mozambique, and before we traveled there, I had learned that there were about 500,000 landmines that had been placed in the ground during the Civil War. And it was that time where the landmines were affecting not only the army but the civilians. And I was convinced when I went down to Mozambique that I would step off the plane and step on a landmine and instantly die. And so it was 13 years later that Douglas and I were writing a book, and in our research we were looking at landmines, wanted to inform our readers about landmines. And it was that time where we really learned that it wasn't just an issue in Mozambique, but really across the world.
So I understand that 120 countries have banned the use of landmines. Can you tell us why that is?
Well, it's really the scale of impact, because it's related to innocent victims that are civilians.
So what do you mean by that?
Well, landmines have killed or maimed more people than nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. And that's a huge issue. And so they're really, just to put it in perspective, there's 110 million landmines in the ground today, and the same amount that are stockpiled. And so we see that this is an insidious issue across the world. They're called anti-personnel landmines for a good reason, because they're against people. Right. And what's really horrible about this is 43% of those victims are children.
Whoa, that's tough to comprehend. So how do these devices work?
Well, they're about the size of a saucer, and they're placed about 4 to 6 inches under the ground. They're invisible, so someone who's passing by will not even notice it. And they were placed during the war in Mozambique. But what's sad is that they put them, the military put them in the places where there's waterways, where civilians go, where they fish, roadways where they travel, fields where they work. And it's triggered by the weight of the person. So we know that even a small child would step on a landmine, and it would hurt them.
So they're not planted to catch soldiers, but civilians. Can you tell me why that is?
Well, the objective of a landmine is to maim, not to kill. And so during the war, the idea is that they tie up medical resources and they really create widespread chaos. Right. And as I mentioned, 110 million landmines are in the ground right now. That means every 20 minutes, someone somewhere is stepping on a landmine. And if we consider just one of these countries, Cambodia, there's 5 million landmines that are in the ground in Cambodia. And so 1 out of every 236 people have been maimed. That means for your Facebook friends, if you have 236,000 Facebook friends, 1,000 of them would be without a leg.
Whoa, that's huge. So it's interesting that you would mention Cambodia, because one of my boyhood soccer heroes, Bobby Charlton, who played for Manchester United, he actually visited Cambodia recently, and like you and Douglas was appalled at the scale of the problem. And he started a foundation called Find a Better Way, because he understood that the problem is hugely significant in terms of the cost of human life and the quality of life. So for Bobby to have that kind of perspective just shows the scale of the problem that we're facing.
That's amazing. And you know, our Cambodia is Mozambique.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And the faith-based group that we were with back in 2002 had a phrase that we'll never forget: stop for the one. And that phrase really impacted us greatly.
Can you share what that unique statement, what the significance of that was in 2015 when you heard it?
Sure. 13 chapters in our book we were writing about our experience in Mozambique. And the next chapter was on landmines. We were researching an article in National Geographic on women in demining. And we came to the end of that article, and there were 217 words that basically were reading, and it impacted us so much and would change our lives forever. And in those words it said there was a 16-year-old single mother who went out to collect firewood and stepped on a landmine and lost her leg.
John, this is really fascinating. I can't wait to carry on the discussion with you. Our next video will help to connect you to a community of people who are committed to providing tangible helps for landmine victims and also to increasing their quality of life. Thanks for joining us.